Yes, Packer fans, we won last week against the Rams, but now it's time to look to the future against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh, which is going to be a much tougher test. Steelers coming off a win against Tennessee last Thursday night, and going to be a much tougher test. I mean, that defense is really good. Of course, TJ Watt is going to attack that Packers offensive line all day long, so Josh Nijman, anybody is better be ready to face him. Otherwise, Jordan Love is going to have a very bad day. But let's just get into it. Hopefully this week, Kenny Clark will be able to go. Haven't heard on whether or not he's going to play or not, but having him in there would definitely be a boost. But then again, the Packers defense played after Kenny Clark went out. I thought, wow, Packers are done. This is where they start to give up points left and right, but they didn't. They didn't give up any points. Packers looked to build on their defensive performance from last week and their offensive performance as well. Jordan Love wasn't amazing last week. We all know that, but give the guy credit for what he did do. He made a couple of nice plays. That play specifically on the touchdown to Luke Musgrave, faked out two guys, and then threw it to Musgrave for the touchdown. That's a good play. You have to give him credit for that. Let's not hate on him when he does good. We know he's still probably not the answer, but give him time. Maybe he can make something of himself in this league. I still believe in him. I still believe he can be a above average quarterback in the league, which a lot of teams in the league don't have the best quarterback. There's probably 7 top quarterbacks in the league, give or take. So that means a bunch of other teams are left without a top quarterback. So count our blessings where we can. When he does well, let's cheer on Jordan Love. Let's not try and look at every little thing. Not everything on the field is his fault. Like last week, those or Dontavian was dropping the ball was not Jordan Love's fault. Just stop with that. That's nonsense. It's stupid talk. But let's talk about the things that he can improve on. He can still improve on is decisiveness, of course. If he's going to run, run. Don't try and throw it down the field. If you're going to run, run. Because there's a couple times this past week where he could have made some yards, but instead took a sack because he was indecisive. It just comes with being a young quarterback, but we hope he can improve in the future. Now the defense, like I said, was great last week. It was really good. When we gave up that one field goal, had the special teams had a good game with the return by Keyshawn Nixon. Of course, Packers fumbled it away one play later, so make of that what you will. But the defense and the special teams were pretty solid last week. There weren't many plays that were just really bad, so that means let's continue this week against a good Pittsburgh Steelers offense at times, but also a team that struggles to score. I mean, Najee Harris gets a touchdown every now and then, but he's still not the greatest running back in the world. But against a rushing attack like rushing defense like the Packers have, could have a good day. Kenny Pickett was pretty good last week against the Titans, all things considered. He didn't have the greatest game in the world, but he was efficient. Had a touchdown to Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson made a world of difference. He scored his first touchdown in like a year and a half, which was good for him. George Pickett had a terrible game, just awful. It's like 5 targets, caught one for like -1 yards or something like that. It was bad. Who knows if you want to start him in fantasy for a while, because that was one of those really bad performances that just leaves a sting in your mouth, especially if you lost having George Pickett in your line, which I did, of course, but we're not going to get into that. But the Steelers' offensive line is decent, not great by any means, but they've been better than they were last year. Still struggle at times. So are opportunities for the Packers even to be able to get in there, get in Kenny Pickett's face, and get a sack, maybe, perhaps. No, Kenny Pickett or Kenny Clark injured his shoulder, so there's doubts about whether he'll play. It would definitely be a boost, but with the departure of Rasul Douglas last week with the trade, it instilled something in that defense. A lot of defensive players felt like it's kind of a slap in the face, and they played really well. So hopefully they can carry it on again this week, which they'll definitely need for sure. Now, let's go back to Jordan Love a little bit again. He has had his down points, no question this year. but let's give him credit for when he does good. Hopefully he continue that this week. Also, let's talk about the rushing attack a little bit. Aaron Jones was great last week. A.J. Dillon had a couple carries that went for a good chunk of change, which was good. And it just makes you wonder, like, man, if the Packers can continue to give Aaron Jones the ball, that would definitely be a big boost, right? Hopefully they continue this week. Sure, that their attack on the Steelers' defensive side of the ball is strong. They have one of the best defensive lines in the league, or I think a certainly underrated one. Have one of the best defensive players in the league right now. J.J. Watt, probably a leading vote getter for Defensive Player of the Year, or at least he's in the top 3 for that. And they're going to, if they can establish a run, it's going to be a long day for Jordan Love. They're going to need to be able to run the ball like they did this past week. Now, Steelers defense is certainly stronger than the Reds, but they can be had. You can run against them. Derrick Henry played fairly well last week against them. Now Aaron Jones isn't Derrick Henry, but he can certainly get his yards. He's a great pass catcher. There's no question about it. He's a better pass catcher than A.J. Dillon. If you're going to throw to the flat or throw to the running back in that situation, be throwing to Aaron Jones, not A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon is not a great ball catcher. He's had his moments, but Aaron Jones is the better choice by far. I like what they did with A.J. Dillon last week. They worked him in, but he was mainly backup. It was Aaron Jones carrying the tote, or being the lead back for most of the game. So let's continue with that. Continue with the good decision making that you've had. Now they have to cut back on those procedural penalties, the holding penalties kill. Those 2 penalties by running on the offsides are just unacceptable on 4th down. Were probably, even had they gone for it, probably wouldn't have made it, but still, those penalties killed them, and they had to punt instead. So gotta cut down on those. Those were a real killer last week. Sure, Packers still won, but those are something that needs to be worked on for sure. Now, as we get to the Steelers and actual game, who knows what it's going to be like in Pittsburgh? I mean, I'm sure it's going to be loud. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers, so those fans are going to be rocking. Packers fans travel well, of course. Packers need this win if they have any dreams of the playoffs, which are pretty weak right now. But let's just give, for shits and giggles, give them a run. If they go on a run, they could secure the last playoff spot. I'm not saying that's likely, but we can all have our dreams. The NFC is not good. Packers continue playing well and improving. Maybe they can go on a run. It'd be nice to get a couple wins before Detroit, because we probably know how the game in Detroit is going to go on Thanksgiving. Even when the Packers were good, them and Thanksgiving never mixed. They never played well. Detroit always treated it like the Super Bowl. But now, it's not so much Detroit Super Bowl. It's just a way to prove that they will be the best team in the NFC North, which they have. But it'd be nice for the Packers to get a couple wins before then. Maybe, just maybe, keep the playoffs in their hopes and dreams. Probably not likely still, but wins, or a couple wins here, a couple wins there, and it's possible. Not saying it's likely, but ultimately the Packers Steelers is going to be a great game. Definitely a tougher game than against the Rams, but ultimately I think the Packers pull this out, to be honest. I think they pull it out. Steelers offense has had their struggles this year. I mean, Matt Canada is still somehow the offensive coordinator. I don't know how. I don't know when he's going to be fired, but he should be, like, now. He's just terrible. And I think the Packers win 21-18, something like that. I think it's going to be a well competitive game. The Packers could certainly lose this, especially if they're not able to run the ball, and Jordan Love is trying to throw against that attack all day long. But I think the Packers can pull this out. They've shown they can win again, and maybe I can start to believe in the Packers again, that they can be more of what they thought they would be going into this year. But let me know what you think of the video. Comment below, share it around, give it a thumbs up if you like it. Otherwise, have a great day, and God bless, and go Pack Go.